There is a way to lose your own freedom without realizing it. It does not happen when someone imposes rules on you. It happens when you allow temporary states to determine permanent decisions. Think honestly, how many times have you said, "That's just who I am," right after reacting in anger? How many times have you justified distancing yourself by saying you felt it was right, only to later realize it was fear? How many professional, emotional, or personal choices were made under the influence of anxiety disguised as prudence? The problem is not feeling. The problem is turning a feeling into a command. To be governed by emotions is to believe that every intense reaction carries unquestionable truth. It is to act at the height of indignation and call it authenticity, to withdraw at the height of fear and call it protection, to surrender to impulse and call it freedom. But what feels like freedom is often submission to your own internal state. Stoicism warns us about a rarely discussed danger, the risk of handing over the government of your life to something that changes every hour. Emotions fluctuate according to sleep, nutrition, memories, interpretations, and even the weather. Allowing them to decide is accepting that your direction will shift according to internal oscillations. Today, we will examine this risk with rigor, and most importantly, we will discuss how to recover sovereignty before momentary reactions become lasting regrets. If you value clarity over impulsiveness, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This strengthens this space of deep reflection and allows more people to build inner stability in an increasingly reactive world. Chapter 1. The first impression is not the truth. The Stoics made an essential distinction between impression and judgment. The impression is automatic. The judgment is voluntary. Something happens. Someone criticizes your work. Immediately a sensation arises. Discomfort, tension, perhaps indignation. That is the impression. The problem begins when you turn that impression into a conclusion. I was disrespected. They don't value my effort. This is unfair. Notice the leap. Between what happened and the meaning you assigned to it, there is an invisible space. It is within that space that inner governance can be exercised. But most people do not perceive this interval. The emotion already brings a ready-made narrative. It offers an interpretation that feels definitive, and by accepting it without examination, you hand the decision over to what was fastest, not what was truest. Stoic training consists in delaying assent, not denying the feeling, but questioning the conclusion. This requires mental discipline, because reacting is more comfortable than reflecting. Chapter 2. The mechanism of reactivity. When you act under strong emotion, your body enters a state of urgency. Your physiology prepares you to respond. The problem is that not every situation requires fight or flight. Many require discernment. Emotion creates haste. Haste eliminates analysis. Without analysis, you act. Then you rationalize. This later rationalization creates the illusion of conscious decision, when in reality, there was only justification. Over time, this pattern solidifies. You begin to define yourself by your reactions. I'm explosive. I'm intense. That's just how I am. But an identity built on impulses is merely an unexamined habit. Being governed by emotions is not an isolated event. It is a repeated pattern of automatic responses that shapes reputation, relationships, and trajectory. And the more you repeat this pattern, the more natural it feels. Chapter 3. The accumulated cost. The consequences are rarely immediate. They accumulate. An aggressive response may generate silence on the other side. Silence generates distance. Distance generates rupture. A decision made out of fear may seem prudent at first, but over time, it limits opportunities that would have required courage. A choice made out of pride may preserve the ego in the short term, but erode trust in the long term. Emotions offer instant relief. Reason offers sustainable construction. When you choose under intense emotion, you usually choose to reduce immediate discomfort. When you choose under reflection, you choose to maximize future coherence. The difference is profound. Chapter 4. Self-mastery is not coldness. There is a common misunderstanding, believing that governing emotions means suppressing them. It does not. The Stoic feels deeply, but he does not grant emotions the right of automatic decision. Anger may reveal that a boundary was crossed. Fear may indicate that something requires preparation. Sadness may point to a real loss. These emotions are information, but information is not an order. Self-mastery begins when you recognize that feeling is human, but deciding is responsibility. Chapter 5. The Daily Practice of Sovereignty. Regaining governance is not a single heroic act. It is constant training. First, slow down the impulse. Before responding, breathe and observe your internal state. Second, separate fact from narrative. What actually happened? What am I adding mentally? Third, project consequences. If I act now, how will this echo tomorrow and a year from now? Fourth, review the day. Which decisions were reactive? Which were deliberate? This continuous examination restructures your relationship with your own emotions. Gradually, you begin to notice the emergence of impulse before it turns into action. This early recognition is practical freedom. And perhaps this is the greatest forgotten lesson. It is not the world that needs to be controlled. It is the response you offer to the world. When your emotions cease to be rulers and become advisors, something shifts quietly. You become more predictable to yourself, more stable, more coherent, and coherence is the foundation of inner peace. If this reflection expanded your awareness, subscribe to the channel and follow the series. Self-mastery does not happen by accident, it is built. Now, I want you to write in the comments, in what situation did you realize you were reacting and not choosing? Recognizing this does not diminish you. It is the beginning of true inner sovereignty.